Mariusz Pudzianowski is a legendary figure in the world of power sports, earning the nickname The Dominant due to his incredible strength and unmatched achievements. He secured the title of the strongest man on the planet 5 times, solidifying his reputation as one of the greatest athletes in the field. However, his journey didn't stop there, and after years of dominating strength competitions, Mariusz embraced a new challenge, stepping into the world of mixed martial arts. His transition was nothing short of remarkable as he brought his raw power and determination into the cage, quickly establishing himself as a formidable force in MMA. Get ready for an electrifying journey as we explore how Mariusz Pudzianowski bulldozed through his opponents, proving that strength, discipline, and perseverance can make legends in more than one arena. But as his journey continued, a crucial turning point awaited him. What was next for the unstoppable force that was Mariusz Pudzianowski? Pudzianowski versus Usman. Up until that moment, no one had ever posed a real challenge to Mariusz Pudzianowski's dominance. But this time, the matchmaker set him up against a true colossus, a 350-pound undefeated powerhouse from the scorching dunes of Africa. This fighter from Senegal was seen as the ultimate test for Pudzianowski's legendary Polish strength. Confident in his sheer size, the African giant wasted no time, charging forward recklessly, believing his massive frame would give him the upper hand. But Pudzianowski was unfazed. He didn't care who stood in front of him. The moment he landed his first punch, it was over. The lights went out in his opponent's eyes in an instant. Another first-round knockout. Another devastating victory for the unstoppable Mariusz Pudzianowski. Pudzianowski versus Materla. In May 2022, Michael Mata, a tattoo parlor-sponsored fighter, was thrown into the cage with Mariusz Pudzianowski. The fight began with both men keeping some distance, but Pudzianowski quickly grew impatient. Seeing an opening, he lunged at his bearded opponent with ferocious intent. Mata had Pitbull written on his trunks, but in the ring, he looked more like a helpless stray. At one point, an amped-up Pudzianowski landed a low blow, momentarily halting the action. Mata shook it off and continued, but it didn't matter. Pudzianowski's next attack was the real game-changer. A devastating strike sent Mata crashing to the canvas, completely knocked out. As medics rushed in to assist, it was hard to tell if he was turning blue from the brutal hits or just blending in with his tattoos.
An absolute volcano! The world's strongest man has just laid leather on Michał Materla.
Pudzianowski versus Najman. In late 2009, the powerhouse known as Muscle Mountain stepped into the ring to face his bald compatriot, Marcin Nyman. Even before the fight began, Mariusz Pudzianowski made a bold statement, ripping off his t-shirt in a display of raw intimidation, showing exactly what was about to happen to his opponent. From the opening bell, Pudzianowski took control of the ring with confidence. He unleashed a barrage of devastating low kicks, each one landing with the force of a wrecking ball. But technique was never Pudzianowski's concern. He relied on sheer brute strength. Charging forward like an unstoppable juggernaut, he bulldozed Nyman to the ground. As Pudzianowski rained down vicious blows, the referee had no choice but to intervene, grabbing hold of Pudzianowski's arm to stop the onslaught and save Nyman from further damage. Fortunately for Nyman, the referee was nearly the size of one of Pudzianowski's arms, just enough to get a solid grip and bring the fight to an end. Pudzianowski versus Gracie Jr. On May 23, 2015, a fighter from the legendary Gracie family, R. Gracie, was sent into the cage to face the beast that was Mariusz Pudzianowski. It was like throwing fresh prey to a predator. Understanding the power Pudzianowski possessed, Gracie wisely tried to keep his distance at the start of the fight, something anyone would do when facing such a monster, but his decision to throw a low kick turned out to be a costly mistake. Targeting the legs of a man who never skipped leg day was a disastrous choice. Pudzianowski barely flinched before launching a devastating counterattack. Like a hunter striking its prey, he unleashed a monstrous right hook that sent Gracie crashing to the canvas, completely drained of fight and spirit. It was a brutal, one-punch finish. As the dust settled, Pudzianowski, his broad back covered in sponsor logos like a moving billboard, celebrated yet another dominant victory while Gracie lay on the mat, out cold.
Inaczej zbudowany Mariusz Pudzianowski, mistrzem!
Pudzianowski versus Erko Jun, blazing through every opponent in his path. Mariusz Pudzianowski found himself facing Erko Jun, a Bosnian knockout specialist riding a streak of 3 consecutive KOs. Many believed Jun had what it took to challenge Pudzianowski's brutal punching power. setting the stage for a thrilling main event. From the opening bell, Pudzianowski chose not to test his luck against the younger, explosive striker. Instead, he took Yun to the ground, pinning him down for the rest of the round, while hammering away at his face with relentless force. As the fight moved into the second round, Pudzianowski attempted another takedown, but this time, it nearly cost him the fight. Yun countered and managed to take top position, unleashing a furious barrage of punches while holding onto the cage for leverage. However, the referee quickly intervened, stopping the illegal maneuver. By then, Pudzianowski was visibly exhausted. Sensing an opportunity, Yun took control and began systematically breaking down the strongman, countering his every move and blocking his takedown attempts. But just when it seemed like Pudzianowski was fading, Yun made a critical mistake. He focused too much on takedown defense and left himself open. Seizing the perfect moment, Pudzianowski executed a flawless double-leg takedown, securing top position. Once there, the Polish pounders went to work, delivering a brutal ground-and-pound assault that shattered Yun's resistance and possibly a few bones. The referee watched closely, but the damage was done. Pudzianowski had once again proved his dominance in spectacular fashion. Pudzianowski versus Dzierkowski. In the summer of 2021, Poland's very own powerhouse, Mariusz Pudzianowski, stepped into the cage to face fellow countryman, Łukasz Dzierkowski. Walking out with a bold Beet Diet advertisement on his chest, Pudzianowski seemed to suggest that beets were the secret behind his monstrous physique and raw power. The first round saw Pudzianowski testing Dzierkowski's resilience with a sharp low kick, but he was met with a solid punch to the face in response. Undeterred, he attempted another kick, only to be met with a smug, mocking grin from Dzierkowski. Growing cocky, Dzierkowski began flaunting his arsenal of high kicks, clearly underestimating the brute force of his opponent. That arrogance cost him dearly. After one particularly flashy kick, Pudzianowski caught his leg, effortlessly taking him down and punishing the showboater with a brutal barrage of elbow strikes. In the second round, Dzierkowski attempted a spinning back fist, but it failed miserably, leaving him completely exposed. Pudzianowski wasted no time, turning his opponent into nothing more than a ragdoll under his overwhelming power. By the time the third round began, Dzierkowski had taken such a severe beating that he refused to shake Pudzianowski's hand out of sheer frustration. But disrespect doesn't go unpunished in Pudzianowski's world. In response, he locked Dzierkowski into a crucifix position and unleashed a relentless storm of strikes, completely dismantling his opponent. Another dominant victory for the Polish Hulk. Pudzianowski versus Butterbean. Eric Butterbean Esch, a true legend in the fighting world, built an impressive career across multiple combat sports. With a strong resume in boxing, he later expanded into kickboxing and even MMA, proving himself as a versatile and battle-hardened competitor. But when Butterbean stepped into the cage against Mariusz Pudzianowski, the strongest man on the planet, it was a clash of power versus experience. As the bell rang, Butterbean used the opening moments to remind Pudzianowski of his striking prowess, landing solid shots that showcased his boxing background. However, Pudzianowski had no interest in trading blows with the seasoned knockout artist. Instead of testing his luck in deep waters, the Polish powerhouse dragged the ocean predator onto land, where the shark became nothing more than a stranded fish. Once the fight hit the ground, Butterbean found himself completely helpless. Pudzianowski's hammer-like fists rained down, reshaping his opponent's skull with every devastating blow. The referee had seen enough and stepped in, putting an end to the brutal beatdown. Another dominant victory for Pudzianowski, proving once again that raw power can crush even the most experienced warriors. Pudzianowski versus Bob Sapp. In the relentless search for a worthy challenger to the world's strongest man, matchmakers landed on Bob Sapp. Towering in size and powered by what many believed to be a cocktail of pure steroids, Sapp seemed like the perfect opponent to test the unreal strength of Mariusz Pudzianowski. But from the moment Pudzianowski stepped into the ring, it was clear. He had only one goal: to devour this so-called beast like a light breakfast. As soon as the fight began, Pudzianowski unleashed an explosion of fury, attacking Sapp with savage aggression like a rabid dog. His sheer power was overwhelming, and in a display of inhuman strength, he effortlessly swept Sapp off his feet, sending the giant crashing to the mat. With Pudzianowski now in full control, what followed could only be described as an old-school, merciless beatdown. Though Sapp offered little resistance, Pudzianowski showed no mercy, entering a full-blown beast mode where even the referee struggled to contain him. It took extreme force to pull the raging Pudzianowski off his battered opponent, stopping what could have been a fatal finish right in the ring. Though Mariusz Pudzianowski never made it to the UFC or other major organizations, his legacy is undeniable. He lived the ultimate warrior's life, proving his dominance with every fight. His story is one of raw power, unmatched aggression, and the relentless pursuit of destruction inside the cage. If you enjoyed watching, Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.